All right. So, hello. This is another practice shoutcast. For people who didn't watch the Rainbow Six Siege one, which understandable, because maybe if you're into Overwatch, you might not be into Rainbow Six Siege, and that's completely fine. Basically, I'm going to start getting back into casting. My target games are Overwatch and Rainbow Six Siege, and I wanted to post two videos, one of each, where I just go into it without any without any prior practice. So I did the Rainbow Six Siege one yesterday, and now I'm doing the Overwatch one. The only practice I've had since coming back to casting, it's been like a year or something. Um, the only practice I've had has been the Rainbow Six Siege video that I did. So other than that, no practice whatsoever, and I want this to serve as a benchmark for myself, something that I can look back on and see how I've improved and see how I can keep improving, as well as a couple of other reasons which I won't get into at the moment. But we're just going to look at an Overwatch League VOD. Unfortunately, we're not going to have the audio, which is arguably more important. So, in my opinion, being someone who actually plays both games, arguably more important than having sound as a caster in Siege. Having sound in Siege as a player is ridiculously more important, but as a caster, I think Overwatch would be more important because you get to hear all of the ultimates going off. You get to hear each individual ability being casted, since a lot of the abilities have specific sound effects. Anyway, I'm rambling, so let's just get right into it. All right. We're going to cast London versus New York, and both of these lineups are getting set up for what I think is going to be whatever they plan to play for their first attack. New York obviously doesn't have the option to switch since they're on defense, but they're going with a defensive Widow. So, sort of banking on Spitfire not playing a super hard dive, which it looks like they might actually be playing quite a hard dive. The only thing that's going to have trouble is the Pharah actually going to switch to Widow at the last second. So they do manage to get a counter Widow, and even though it's not full dive, we have a situation here where it is going to be a Widow versus Widow battle. And for the most part, whoever gets the shots off will be able to win. Now, we also have a couple of other playmakers, namely the Zenyatas, are really big playmakers that can get picks and such. Birdring just trying to avoid a couple of headshots there as he crosses over, making himself as hard to hit as possible. Taking a wide angle, a little bit of a flank, this should open up the sight lines onto the supports, but he doesn't quite find anything as New York figures it out and rotates back into radar as efficiently as they possibly can. And so Sabiel, B, and Prophet dueling as tracers. Their main jobs as tracers is to just keep each other busy. Prophet just gets taken down to 2 health. I believe that was a body shot by Pine. And now Hagapoon gets a headshot on Jonak. That's probably a right click. And that's what I said before. We have the Zenyatas are going to play a huge role in being able to take some really early picks like that. And that's actually going to give London Spitfire huge control over this point. They haven't even killed another person yet, and yet they still have half of the site taken. Birdring gets a return kill onto Jonak. However, kills traded out in either case. Prophet already with a pulse bomb manages to kill Mano. That's the Mercy down, so that's a lot of healing. They're probably not going to be able to sustain the rest of this push, and that's going to be the last shot that takes out Mako out of his mech, and really easy sort of sight take from Spitfire, and for the most part, that was off the back of Hagapoon's Zenyatta right-click. Even though Mano got the res off and revived Jonak, London already got so much point pressure and so much control from it that it didn't quite matter that they got the res because everyone else was fighting from a bad position. They were very low in health, had to get healed, and the Mercy wasn't quite up yet. So now we see both Winston bubbles going out at the same time, blocking a little bit of line of sight for the Widows, going for a mid-air shot, doesn't quite manage to land it. That would have been an insane shot if it did hit Mano, though. And Mano actually, 1v1's Bird Ring is a little bit unfortunate when you get that pistol pulled on you in the Valk. And now Transcendence goes out for Hagapoon. Hagapoon managed to charge that relatively quickly, but didn't really have a reason to use it until now. And we're taking the fight to the point. Pine is trying to see what kind of damage he can stack. 80% to Blade. He's probably not going to get it this fight, but it doesn't look like they need it as Janus goes out with the Primal Rage, and he's going to be able to pick up a couple of kills off of the back of that. Pine overextending just a little bit. Mano is right there to save him, however, and the Reaper switch from Birdring not quite working out so far, but at this point, that was 3 ults committed, and unfortunately, both of London's support ults committed there. So that's going to ruin their ult economy for a little bit. On the bright side, they did manage to take out Jojonak's ultimate, but New York does have Dragon Blade, which is super strong if the opponent team doesn't have either Beat or Transcendence. So Pine's just waiting for a cheeky Blade right here, trying to get to the supports as quickly as possible. Maybe they saw that Orb of Harmony, maybe they didn't. They clearly didn't, as he manages to get a slash dash onto Hagopun, and he's going to be taken out actually by Mako, who jumps in there, manages to tank some body shots for Pine as he gets more and more damage down, kills Birdwing at the end of it. Self-destruct goes out, manages to get two. I'm not quite sure how that happened. I'm assuming there was a boop of some sort in there. Jeez, what a fantastic bomb. However, it's not going to do much at the end because Mako gets taken out anyway, and before he can remech. And that's going to be another hold from New York Excelsior. Right now, the comp switches from London Spitfire. They're taking Birdwing onto Genji as well, so we're going to have full dive versus full dive, and the only difference is the Mercy and Lucio. So Lucio's going to have the speed boost in order to get past those chokes without taking much damage. However, Mano's going to be able to pocket someone, and the pocket, even though Mercy's been nerfed, is still incredibly strong, especially if the attacking team doesn't dive properly enough and stack the damage within a short enough period of time, and they can just heal it through. However, Birdwing gets taken out almost immediately by Mako. Mako gets demech'd, however, and so does Huyal. So we have both baby divas. However, Mako gets his back quite quickly, and that is actually just going to spell the end of this push for London Spitfire. Ult economy. Oh, they're actually going super aggressive. He tries to use the Transcendence to counter the Blade. I wish I would have heard the Blade a little bit sooner, but that might actually be a little bit too overzealous right there by London Spitfire, thinking that they could bring this specific fight back into their favor. And now they're blowing pretty much all of their ults here. They also use the sound barrier, and that's a really questionable push by London Spitfire. They thought New York was overextending. They committed the Transcendence, they committed the sound barrier, and tried to win the fight with 3 minutes left. They didn't really play the time resource very well, because what they could have done is they could have just let the Blade go out. Maybe it kills a couple people, fine, but you still have both support ults, and you traded the Dragon Blade for basically nothing after a lost push in the first place. So London Spitfire, I think, just getting a little bit too overzealous in that situation right there. And we'll see what they do for this attack. Birdwing switches over to McCree, and he's managed to charge quite a bit of it so far. And the McCree's actually going to do a pretty good job here against both Genji and Tracer. For the most part, McCree against Tracer, it basically forces Tracer to play a little bit differently. It doesn't outright counter her in terms of, oh, the McCree's always going to get the kill on Tracer. However, it does change Tracer's area of effect and what she can potentially do in order to swing the fights, and where she can position. Hagopun getting taken down pretty low. The self-destruct goes out, lands just under the ledge, only manages to get closer. That was almost going to be a triple kill. However, he gets demech'd as he tries to escape. London Spitfire already have control of the point. Birdwing has his Deadeye, and he's going to use that as soon as Jojonak uses his Transcendence, and Deadeye does all of its damage immediately, so Transcendence will help his team not at all, only saving Jojonak by keeping him immobile. However, Birdwing manages to pick up the kill off of two people who are trying to contest the point. Mako is the last one in there, and the self-destruct goes down, timing it perfectly to land as soon as Mako gets out of mech, and that's going to be an easy push finally for London Spitfire. And I want to go back, even though McCree... again, like I said, doesn't usually outright kill Tracer. In that sort of situation at the end there, she was forced to stall the objective, which, considering the amount of early control London got on the point, was basically really good strategy not to chase off the point, not to try to get the kills, not to get really fancy with their map control, and just focus on the point. That draws everyone else to the point, and McCree can just go off at that point, right? So Tracer's forced to stay on point and contest, easy flashbang range, and he's going to be able to pick up the kill there as well. So we're going to see New York this time go on the attack. The time, I think, was about 1 minute and 30 seconds, so it's an okay time. We've definitely seen a lot faster times on 2CP, but for the most part, they're not too worried about that. You know, they can still make a lot happen with that in one push. They could potentially take both points in their next push, And New York Excelsior, they just want to be able to get it pretty much any degree faster at this point. London's not really super pressured on their first point to win the very first fight on their next attack. So as long as New York can get enough time on the board to get more than one attack on the first point, they should be fine. We have a hover on Roadhog. London also hovered Roadhog last time, but they didn't stick with it. London's comp we know will be pretty locked in since they are on defense, so we can go over it. We're going to have a Sombra and a Soldier here. This is before the upcoming Sombra changes, so she's still going to charge her ult quite quickly with health packs, and she's not necessarily a DPS hero quite yet. Pine just waiting. I think they wanted a little bit of scouting information before they asked Pine to switch off, and I think as soon as they saw the Sombra, they said, hey, Pine, you're pretty free. You can go ahead and take this Widowmaker, and Pine is a fantastic hit scan player, so we'll see what kind of crazy shots he can pull off. Prophet trying to challenge him, but he's got his entire team right here backing him up. They're just playing around the Widow. That's all they need to do, and eventually Pine is going to take a pick of some sort. He just needs a little bit of time. He needs to try to out-rotate the enemy team, and just like that, oh, we don't actually get to see what happens with that shot. I assume it missed since Hagapun is still alive. Prophet and Sabiolbi once again dueling as Tracer, keeping each other busy, making sure that neither of them can take out the opponent's backline supports. Janus taken down to half. He needs to jump out, but that'll just give Mono charge as London's not really in a position that they can push out and try to chase that kill on a Janus. So right now we have Hagapun. He's already got EMP. He's going to go for it. Pine's caught in it. They're going to try to take him out. However, he's getting tanked by Mono. Mono, oh, almost getting the grapple off, but he's not quite able to, and that's going to be quite a win for London Spitfire, as there's almost no way that they can take this fight back into their favor, especially now that Mono dies, so they're just going to throw themselves in and basically try to reset the fight as fast as possible. Janus actually picking up 2 return kills, one onto Prophet and one onto Birdwing, and that's actually a really smart play by him to commit incredibly hard. Now he's going to jump off the map so that he gets a similar walk back time as Birdwing. Unfortunately, Birdwing's playing Soldier, so I think it's going to even out at that point. So even though attackers have a shorter route to go from spawn, obviously Soldier has sprints, so that's not super good in that respect. And Hagapun already charged up another EMP. This is exactly why they're changing Sombra. They don't like this playstyle of let's get an EMP every fight by sitting on the health packs. And so he's waiting for his translocator, and as soon as it goes out, he's going to stealth in, find an EMP, and see if there's anything he can do. New York going in for the dive really quickly, and they find Hagapun pressuring him out. If he were to EMP there, he would only get Janus, so that was a really good play by New York Excelsior to stay mindful of that. And now Birdwing, using the tactical visor, gets Pine. Pine gets revived, however, and we also see Jojonak's ultimate get popped, Transcendence going out. Now Birdwing and Jester getting 2 kills. Huyal with a self-destruct. Pine manages to get 1 kill back on a Prophet, but it's not going to be enough as Sabiolbi and Pine are the only ones left for their team, and they're going to have to back off of this and recoup with a minute left to attack. Sombra working out quite well so far with the amount of EMPs he's gotten in. Oh no, Pine just doesn't quite get out fast enough. I think he was trying to stay back there in order to pick off some stragglers, pick off some supports that were trying to come back from spawn. However, they found him out, they killed him, and so that's going to prompt a switch over to Soldier himself. So now we have a Soldier v Soldier duel. However, New York Excelsior Soldier is going to have more power in this matchup because of the Zenyatta. Zenyatta's going to just keep the orb on him, make sure he's pocketed, and discard whoever he's shooting for a lot of extra damage. And so at this point, we're just going to see Hagapun. He needs to get a really good EMP in order to counter this sort of comp matchup that they already have here. Jojonak manages to pick up a kill on a Prophet with a right-click. Prophet answers back with a pulse bomb, and that's 2 kills, 3 kills over to the side of London Spitfire. They might be able to defend this once again. Birdwing takes another one out. Janus goes down. Sabiolbi picks up Gesture, but it's just not enough as Mako's the only one left. And once again, London Spitfire hold, and they're going to be able to take map 1 in this. Well, Sabiolbi's going for a last-second contest, but with an EMP, that's really not going to do very well for him, as he's just going to get taken out quite quickly. And map 1 goes over to New York Excelsior. Now, I was planning on only doing one map, but that was a really short map, so whatever. Let's go for a second map and see what New York does to fire back. Also, I have not watched this match yet, so that's also another thing to keep in mind. Check out this pulse bomb onto Mano. Pretty good. What are they doing with their signs? All right, let's speed up. No one cares. 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 Li Jiang. So we're starting on Garden, which is a quintessential Pharah Mercy map. Never mind, we might not be starting on Garden. I don't know what this is. Okay, so we are starting on Garden. That might have been the actual map rotation that they were going to do. So let's back up a little bit so that I give myself a little bit of time. Is that when? Okay, so that's too much time. So I want to see the comps. Okay, 12 seconds. Well, this is normally a very good Pharah Mercy map. New York Excelsior going with it right off the bat, while London might stick to the Soldier, which would be a pretty good choice against Pharah Mercy. And nope, doesn't look like it. That we're just going to see a Soldier v Soldier. However, Prophet is going for Reaper instead of Tracers. So London's not really going to have anyone who can pressure the backline of New York Excelsior properly. I mean, you can have Winston that'll dive in and D.Va who can pocket him, but it's nothing that's going to be a constant threat to the backline. Like, once those two jump in, you turn on them and you can burn them down, and you sort of hope the rest of your team can pick up the rest of the kills while you're creating that much space, but there's no one to just turn them around, and Sabiolbi especially is going to be pretty free here. There's no one exactly to stop him, but Janice jumps in very prematurely, and Prophet just takes him out immediately. That was an interesting decision by Janice, an interesting jump, and that's going to give London Spitfire complete control over this point, and they're just going to pick up kills one by one. Prophet is completely uncontested back here, and Badosin picks up a kill onto Mako as well. That's an easy take for London Spitfire, and again, I think Janice just pulled the trigger a little bit too early. I don't know if his team called to go in. Maybe they didn't see the Reaper yet, but I think that was just quite a mistake, just an easy mistake, honestly. And now, as a result, Badosin's almost got his Transcendence. Birdwing has Tactical Visor already. Jonak pops Transcendence himself, but they're still able to pick up 2 kills in the midst of it. Sabiolbi doesn't have enough health to sustain through himself anyway, and now they're just going to keep running them down. Jonak doesn't have Transcendence, but Badosin still does. Closer used his Sound Barrier, which I think was it was an okay trade. I think they might know that they're this far ahead in the ult economy where they don't need it in order to counter the switch to Genji, which happened after last fight. So New York going full dive. And right now we're going to speed Prophet in with Transcendence. He's going to use Death Blossom, pick up Libero, and now trying to see what he can do against Sabiolbi, who goes into recall. And looks like London Spitfire is going to be able to hold once again. That was a pretty good set play to basically just speed in the Death Blossom with Transcendence. However, it was a lot of ultimates used. So if New York Excelsior saw that coming, they would have held more of their ults, but they do have Sound Barrier and Dragon Blade. So they might be able to get a wipe off of that, depending on where Libero uses it and how much he manages to get with it. So he's jumping over the corner, trying to scout it out, and he sees both of the supports back here in the restaurant, and Closer almost taken down. However, he's just barely going to stay alive, and that's not going to let Libero get any resets off of this. An almost wasted Dragon Blade right there. However, the rest of his team is still going to be able to pick up a couple of kills off of the amount of space it created, and at the end, that was enough. That was just barely enough to squeeze through, and they're going to be able to get value off of that blade anyway, and that's the sort of caliber you see from some of these teams, where even if Libero doesn't quite get value himself off of the blade, the rest of his team can use the extra space that it gave him in order to pick up the kills themselves. And now Sabi will be trying to look for a pulse bomb. They need a really good one here in order to hold, especially. Jester getting taken out. That's a good pulse bomb. You just get a free pick on a tank, and that's just an easy fight. The rest of it is very, very simple, and we see the cleanup right here. Spitfire knows it too. They're just going to jump off in order to reset as fast as possible. They have about 60 seconds in order to get back onto the point and try to take it back, and they only need to win one fight. So Excelsior, we're probably going to see them take this next fight. Or sorry, London has London only needs to win one fight in order to pick the advantage back up, so they might not use ults, but they're actually just going to commit the Transcendence here. So instead of a dry fight, they're going all in. Birdwing uses Attack Visor too, and they're going to commit Sound Barrier. If they don't win this fight, they're completely dead in this game. Libero in the backline trying to take out Badosin, but he doesn't have a reset once again. However, Birdwing manages to pick him up instead. And now Birdwing going on to Mako. He's getting a couple of kills. Prophet manages to take it as well. And it looks like they're going to be able to hold this fight as well. And that's going to be a good take by London Spitfire. I didn't think they were going to be able to do it as well as they did. But they balanced the support ults pretty well. There was only a small bit of overlap between the Sound Barrier and the Transcendence. And that's sort of what you want. You don't want it to be completely separate from each other, but you don't want to stack them either. Oh, New York actually gets a pretty good last second contest as Sabi Olby picks up 2 kills and manages to stick Prophet too with the pulse bomb. He picks up Badosin as well. What is going on? Sabi Olby, a one-man army here, while the rest of his team contests the point, and they might actually be able to take it back. New York Excelsior with 75% managed to take the point back. That's incredible play by Sabi Olby there. I wish we were watching his perspective. What was that? Now London in shambles. They don't have the ult economy in order to do this. The only thing they have is Jester's ultimate, which is not the kind of ultimate you want in a fight like this. Jonak switched to Ana, manages to sleep Prophet. That is a huge kill, and they're going to be able to stick this point. I don't think they're going to lose. Mako dashes back into the healing range. Anti-nade is available, manages to get it onto Jester. Jester pops Primal Rage, almost gets slept. That would have been a very good sleep dart that just locks him out of the point. London contesting a little bit with Wuyal, but it might not be enough. Birdwing gets taken down incredibly low. Sound Barrier goes out to last second save him, and now Badosin switches to Moira as well. Birdwing trying to escape as best he can, but he's spending more time sprinting than he can shooting, and New York Excelsior, 1 second off of taking that point, but at this second, it's just a stall game. They're going to be able to do it eventually. Gesture switches to Doomfist, picks up 1 kill, but he does not have the healing to stay through. And now Mano commits the Sound Barrier. That is almost going to be at Prophet. Another last second contest. London's throwing everything they have at this, but it looks like it's definitive win for New York Excelsior. So that's going to be map 1 of this best of 3 King of the Hill, going to them after a very long stall, and Sabi Olby honestly just popping off right there in order to get that last contest at 75. I think this is where Sabi Olby just went off. Let's check out what his play was. 1 clipped Badosin, and now he's going to... I forgot who he picked up the kill on next, but he definitely did do a lot more work in that fight after that kill, and he just played it really well, staying around the outside until the Transcendence wore off, and he timed it super well too, so that he was right in Badosin's face as soon as the Transcendence did wear off. So now we're going to Night Market, and this map is also pretty good for Pharaoh Mercy, not nearly as good as Garden though, so if they didn't run it in Garden, I wouldn't expect them to run it here, and they definitely don't. However, Birdwing gets immediately taken out. I think there was a Zenyatta right-click in there somewhere, as that's just going to win the fight for London Spitfire right off the bat. Actually, Sabi Olby once again going off. They might actually just be able to take this back, even though they got that early pick off onto... wait. I was getting everything confused. So they get the early pick onto Birdwing, and that definitely secures them the fight. My mistake. The fact that the health bars are still white on the side of New York Excelsior do get a little bit confusing, but as time goes on, I will get more used to that. This is, again, all just a learning experience, and I'll be able to look back at this VOD in a while and laugh at myself. Sabi Olby pulses right into a defense matrix. It gets eaten up, and even still, Libero is going to get 7 resets right there and just completely take down the rest of the team. Jonak helping out with some Discord and right clicks as well. So easy stall easy defense by New York Excelsior, only committing the pulse bomb, and they honestly didn't really need it either. And so now they're ahead in the ult economy. They have both support ults up compared to Badosin's Transcendence is the only support ult that London has so far. But they might try to stall this fight out until Closer gets his. Transcendence popped early in order to counter the Dragon Blade. Libero not going to be able to get anything with that right now. But he's still going to be healed up quite a bit himself as Jonak pops his own Transcendence as well. Prophet seeing what he can do on the point, managing to contest as much as he can, and that's going to actually drive New York Excelsior away. Gesture doing a pretty good job with the Primal Rage in order to take everyone out, and now Mako's the last one here, trying to stall it out for as long as possible. 63%, they're going to need to win one fight and then defend the next as well in order to take the victory. However, London needs to hold this point for several pushes in order to get their own victory, so at this point, New York is still pretty far ahead. London does have a good ult economy here, tries to get the stick on Jonak, and Jonak walks back into it actually, trying to juke back left and right, AD strafing the Prophet, and now Birdwing using the tac visor, but he used it in a spot where he was completely alone, no supports there to help him out, and so he's just going to get trounced. However, the rest of his team is still managing to pick up the rest of the kills. I think they might have just used that tac visor as a bait actually, while the rest of his team just follows up and peels for him almost perfectly. He was the only one who died in that fight, and London just got the rest of the kills very, very easily. Now, New York, let's check out the ult economy. They have 3 ults to London's 1. Badosin's pretty close to Transcendence, however, he's going to get it as soon as this fight actually breaks out. And there it is, Badosin already using Transcendence. He wanted to use it as soon as he could, get the tanks back up to full health. However, it might not matter as Mako got a kill on the squishy, Birdwing taken down by the self-destruct. Prophet in the backline, seeing what he can do here, and this looks like it's going to be a one fight for New York as London has to back off. Looking at the ult economies once again, Libero has Dragon Blade, and there's really nothing to counter it, so New York probably going to be able to stabilize this as well. Let's see what they can do to counter the Dragon Blade. Libero hasn't really gotten too many good Dragon Blades off, but we'll see how this one can do. Picks up the kill. No, Closer boops him away at the last second. He's not going to get any resets. Libero's Dragon Blades so far have been less than impressive. And now Sabiolbi has to back off to point to Prophet in order to help out D.Va in order to secure this point. Manages to pick up the kill. He does have Pulse Bomb. He needs to find a really good one here. Badosin taken down as well. Huyal going for the self-destruct. Birdwing outside the point. Now we're going to see Sabiolbi look for the Pulse Bomb, see what he can get. Birdwing's the only one on point right now. He might not even need it. And they're going to cap the point back for themselves. 3% left, and Janice jumps out, tries to meet Gesture as he jumps back in. However, it's not going to be stalling it enough in order for anyone else to get back. Their Prophet goes down, and New York Excelsior take the second map to fire back. And that is going to be my practice shoutcast. I didn't mention this at the end of the Rainbow Six shoutcast, but definitely if there's any feedback you have, even if you don't know much about casting, feel free to leave your feedback. Like, I'm doing this in order... Okay, we can pause this. I'm doing this in order to get better myself, and one of the big aspects of casting is, do people like it? Do people want to listen to it? So you're a person. Even if you don't know anything about casting, if you didn't enjoy listening to it, then just feel free to leave something in terms of why you didn't really enjoy listening to it, what things I could have improved on. I'm obviously going to have my own list, and I'm going to watch back on this and all that, but yeah, I definitely need your input, and likewise, if you enjoyed it, tell me what you enjoyed about it, what things that I should do more often, or which things that I should keep doing, or things that I'm starting to do, but I should get better at. Obviously, again, I know the fundamentals of the casting side of things that I need to work on, but you guys are the viewers, and you're going to know what is just good for you to hear. So that's going to be it for me. I'll practice myself a bunch more. I'll do drills and stuff like that, and at some point I'm going to make an update video on how far I've come in like a month or 2, maybe 3 months, depending on how much progress I feel. So keep an eye out for those, and yeah, this is a good practice cast.